Somewhere in Pyongyang, in a building that does not appear on any public map, a man is sitting in front of a computer. He is not a soldier. He does not carry a weapon. He has never fired a shot or crossed a border. He works regular hours. He has performance targets. He has a manager. His job is to steal money from the global financial system, and he is very good at it. In 2025 alone, he and his colleagues stole $2 billion. Not from a vault, not from a bank at gunpoint, from exchanges, from wallets, from the digital financial infrastructure that moves trillions of dollars every day and was never designed to stop a nation-state that decided cybercrime was a more reliable revenue stream than international trade. The money does not stay in cryptocurrency. It gets converted, laundered, moved through shell companies, over-the-counter traders, and front businesses in China, Dubai, and Southeast Asia. And then it funds something specific: ballistic missile tests, nuclear warhead development. The United Nations estimated that North Korea finances roughly 40% of its weapons of mass destruction budget through cybercrime. You probably did not hear about most of these thefts. The ones you did hear about were framed as exchange failures, security breaches, and crypto market events. This is none of those things. This is a state-sponsored financial crime operation with a weapons program attached to it. And on February 21, 2025, it executed the largest single theft in the history of money. On that morning, a finance executive at a cryptocurrency exchange called Bybit approved what looked like a routine transfer. The transaction appeared identical to hundreds he had processed before. The interface looked normal. The wallet address looked correct. He clicked approve. In that single click, $1.5 billion left Bybit's cold storage wallet and moved to an address controlled by a hacking unit operating out of Pyongyang. It was the largest theft in the history of financial crime. Larger than the Enron fraud adjusted for the same time frame. Larger than any single bank robbery ever recorded. Larger than the GDP of several small nations. And it was over in seconds. But to understand how North Korea built the operation capable of executing that heist, you have to go back almost a decade to a story most people have never heard of, involving a bank in Bangladesh, a typo, and $870 million that almost disappeared forever. In February 2016, the Central Bank of Bangladesh sent 35 payment instructions through the SWIFT interbank messaging system to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, requesting transfers totaling $951 million to accounts in the Philippines, Sri Lanka, and other destinations. The instructions appeared legitimate. The authentication codes were valid. The Fed processed them. $81 million reached accounts at Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation in Manila before anyone realized something was wrong. The money moved through 4 personal accounts opened specifically for this purpose, withdrawn in cash over several days by men who had been waiting for it. It then passed through 2 Manila casinos where anti-money laundering laws had a specific exemption. By the time Bangladesh Bank's governor learned what had happened, most of the money had vanished into the Philippine gambling economy. The remaining $870 million was stopped by a spelling error. One of the transfer instructions was addressed to the Shalika Foundation. A SWIFT operator noticed the name did not match any known organization and flagged it. The transaction was held. A single mistyped word saved Bangladesh almost $1 billion. The $81 million that got through was mostly never recovered. That attack established the blueprint that North Korea would spend the next decade refining. Find a target with digital access to real money, compromise their systems, move the money faster than anyone can respond, launder it before anyone can freeze it. What changed over the years was not the strategy, it was the scale, the sophistication, and the targets. By 2022, North Korea had shifted its focus almost entirely to cryptocurrency, and the results were staggering. In March of that year, the Lazarus Group, the name Western intelligence services use for North Korea's primary cyber unit, stole $625 million from a blockchain gaming company called Axie Infinity. The method was not a technical vulnerability in the blockchain. It was a PDF attached to a fake LinkedIn job offer sent to a senior engineer. The engineer opened it. The document installed malware on his computer. The Lazarus Group spent 2 weeks quietly mapping the company's internal network before they executed the transfer, compromising 5 of 9 validator nodes on the bridge that processed the game's transactions. The theft itself took less than 2 transactions. That attack became a template. They stole 100 million from the Harmony Horizon bridge 3 months later using a similar approach. They stole over 100 million from a wallet service called Atomic Wallet in 2023. They stole 235 million from the Indian exchange WazirX in July 2024, this time by compromising the visual interface of a third-party custody provider, so that when WazirX executives reviewed a transaction on their screens, what they saw displayed was not what they were actually signing on the blockchain. They stole $305 million from DMM Bitcoin in Japan using the same class of attack. DMM Bitcoin did not survive. The exchange wound down entirely. Customers lost access to their funds during the liquidation. A Japanese cryptocurrency exchange was destroyed by a foreign state actor financing a weapons program, and almost nobody connected those two facts in the coverage. Each theft generated money that needed to be cleaned. And here is where the investigation becomes most specific, because North Korea did not improvise its laundering. It built infrastructure. After the Bybit heist, blockchain forensics firms tracked the stolen funds in near real time. Within 4 days, 69% of the $1.5 billion had been converted from Ethereum into Bitcoin through decentralized exchanges that require no identity verification. By March 20th, 86% had been moved through a network of wallets specifically designed to break the blockchain transaction trail. The primary laundering tools were crypto mixers, services that pool funds from multiple sources and redistribute them to obscure the origin. The U.S. Treasury sanctioned a mixer called Blender.io in May 2022 after tracing $20.5 million of stolen Ronin Bridge funds through it. It was the first time in history the U.S. government had ever sanctioned a cryptocurrency mixer. Within months, Blender's operators rebuilt the service under a new name, Sinbad.io. Law enforcement seized Sinbad in November 2023 after it processed more than $22 million of North Korean funds. The operators moved on and built something else. The other major laundering vehicle was Tornado Cash, a decentralized mixer that processed $455 million of Lazarus Group funds between 2020 and 2022. The Treasury sanctioned Tornado Cash in August 2022, making it the first time a piece of software rather than a person had ever been sanctioned under American law. A years-long legal battle followed. A federal appeals court ruled in November 2024 that the Treasury had exceeded its authority. The sanctions were lifted in March 2025. The developer, Alexei Pertsev, had already been convicted in the Netherlands and sentenced to 64 months in prison. The infrastructure continued operating throughout the entire legal process. Beyond the technical laundering tools, North Korea relied on a human network. The Treasury's April 2023 designations named Sim Hyon Sop, a representative of Korea Kwangsan Banking Corporation operating out of Dandong, China, as the coordinator of a cash conversion network moving stolen crypto into fiat currency for Pyongyang. 2 Chinese over-the-counter traders named Wu Huihui and Cheng Hung Man processed tens of millions in conversions. 2 UAE-based Chinese nationals named Lu Huaying and Zhang Jian were added to the sanctions list in December 2024. The Justice Department filed a civil forfeiture complaint in June 2025 against over $7.74 million they had laundered. These were not freelancers operating independently. They were nodes in a structured financial operation with performance expectations and a state client. Understanding who that client is and what it needs explains everything about the operation's scale and consistency. North Korea is the most sanctioned country on Earth. Its access to foreign currency through legitimate trade is essentially zero. Its ballistic missile and nuclear warhead programs require foreign components, foreign technical expertise, and foreign currency to pay for both. Cybercrime solves all three constraints simultaneously, and it does so in a way that is extraordinarily difficult to interdict because the money moves faster than any government can respond. The cumulative total from 2017 through 2025 exceeds $6.75 billion stolen. In 2025 alone, North Korea was responsible for 59% of all cryptocurrency stolen globally. Former U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor for Cyber Annie Neuberger stated in 2024 that more than half of North Korea's missile program funding now comes from cryptocurrency theft. The regime has roughly 8,400 trained cyber operators organized along military lines, working in specialized units for reconnaissance, development, execution, and laundering, many of them deployed under commercial cover in China, Russia, and Southeast Asia. And the operation does not only steal, it also earns through a parallel scheme that is arguably more disturbing than the heists because of how deeply it penetrated the American economy. North Korea deploys thousands of workers posing as freelance software developers on platforms like LinkedIn, Upwork, and Fiverr, using stolen American identities and fabricated credentials to secure remote employment at technology companies across the United States and Europe. They do the work, collect the salaries, and wire the earnings back to Pyongyang. The DOJ's signature prosecution of this scheme involved a woman named Christina Chapman from Litchfield Park, Arizona. From October 2020 to October 2023, Chapman received work laptops mailed by American companies to her home address. She set them up, connected them to the internet, and allowed North Korean workers overseas to remotely control them. The companies believed they had hired American employees. Their employees were in North Korea and China, accessing American corporate networks every day through a house in Arizona. Chapman's operation defrauded 309 companies, including a top 5 television network, a Silicon Valley technology company, an aerospace and defense manufacturer, and a major automaker. The scheme generated $17.1 million. Chapman was sentenced in July 2025 to 102 months in federal prison. Her North Korean counterparts were indicted and linked directly to the Munitions Industry Department, the government entity overseeing ballistic missile development. A woman in Arizona was unknowingly running the financial back office of a weapons program. Which brings us back to the Bybit heist and to what it tells us about where this operation is heading. The attackers did not breach Bybit's systems directly. They compromised the software supply chain of a third-party wallet provider called Safe, inserting malicious code into the front-end interface during a routine software update. When Bybit's CEO Ben Zhou and other authorized signers reviewed the transaction before approving it, they saw a legitimate transfer to a wallet they controlled. What they were actually signing was a transaction that handed the Lazarus Group complete control of the cold wallet. The attack bypassed hardware security devices. It bypassed multi-signature approval requirements. It bypassed every layer of human review. The only defense would have been to independently verify the raw blockchain transaction data against what the screen displayed, a step no standard institutional custody workflow included at the time. North Korea did not stumble onto this vulnerability. It researched it, developed a specific attack for it, and deployed that attack against the largest possible target. That is not opportunistic hacking. That is a research and development program with a financial crime application. It is the same institutional discipline that produced the Bangladesh Bank blueprint in 2016, scaled up and refined over 9 years of continuous operation. Bybit survived. Emergency bridge loans from partners covered the loss. User funds were protected. The exchange is still operating. But the $1.5 billion did not disappear. It moved, converted, and is funding something that will eventually be tested over the Sea of Japan or the Pacific Ocean. DMM Bitcoin did not survive. Its customers lost access to their funds. A company was destroyed. None of that will appear in any weapons program audit. That is the most important thing to understand about this operation. It does not feel like a weapons program. It feels like financial crime. The victims are exchanges. The currency is digital. The connection between a stolen Ethereum token and a ballistic missile test is invisible unless someone traces the full chain from the click to the launch. Every major financial law that exists today was written because someone found a way to steal at scale, and the world took too long to respond. Enron created Sarbanes-Oxley. The 2008 financial crisis created Dodd-Frank. North Korea has now stolen more money from the global financial system than any corporate fraud in history, year after year, with a consistency and sophistication that grows every cycle. There is no Sarbanes-Oxley for state-sponsored cryptocurrency theft. There is no regulator with jurisdiction over Pyongyang. There is just a man in a building that does not appear on any map, sitting in front of a computer, waiting for someone to click approve. That is why it belongs on this ledger.